The hallowed Xenobiological Sciences Auditorium at Galactic University undoubtedly reigns supreme as the most ostentatious space across the galaxy. Crystalline structures pierced from the walls, resembling solidified lightning, meticulously designed to emit a gentle, azure glow whenever utterances of academic merit were voiced. Seating formed flawless concentric circles, evidently because conventional rows were considered too rudimentary for civilizations capable of traversing the cosmos at superluminal speeds. Professor Corfax occupied the central podium, all four arms, with a flourish adjusting his shimmering holographic display for the umpteenth time. He was, to be generous, a Xenuran, more truthfully, a towering clothes horse suffering from delusions of eminence. His kind, evolved from primeval arboreal beings, accounted for his colossal height and condescending nature. Standing a staggering 8 terrace tall, he ensured no one overlooked it. "Cosmic scholars," he commenced, his voice laced with the distinct condescension professors wield for cherished subjects. "Delve into the cosmic abyss, where formidable entities reign supreme, surpassing mere intellectual pursuits. We embark on an enthralling odyssey, exploring the galaxy's most treacherous, awe-inspiring, and evolutionarily advanced predators." Our audience, a gathering of astute minds from a distinguished interstellar university, included Bleep, an insectoid whose multifaceted eyes gleamed with perpetual astonishment, and Gornax, a silicon-based being resembling an erudite boulder, diligently recording insights, resonated via infrasonic hums, resulting in him spending lectures vibrating at tooth-grating frequencies. Zara, a crystalline being hailing from the Refraction Nebula, effervescently shimmered with excitement. Moore, a gelatinous entity from the Pudding Systems, required a specialized containment suit to prevent the accidental ingestion of his textbooks. Meanwhile, in the rear, Jake Morrison, the human, watched the spectacle with amusement. Jake was part of the so-called cultural exchange program, was, in reality, a daring experiment to assess if these novel species also could navigate advanced academia without triggering an interstellar crisis. Humans thus far had exhibited impressive restraint, primarily due to their inquisitive nature and aversion to cannibalizing their peers. Aside from the infamous Thanksgiving turkey debacle, a cross-cultural hiccup best left forgotten. Professor Korak's throat clearing echoed like pebbles grinding in a cement mixer, a prelude to something more. Undoubtedly, many of you hail from realms where you mistakenly perceive your native wildlife as the ultimate apex predators. This naturally is a pervasive fallacy among less advanced societies. His quartet of eyes scanned the assembly with refined condescension, and upon settling on Jake, one limb executed a contemptuous wave. I presume our human delegate will find this exceptionally illuminating, considering his species' recent ascent from what could only be charitably termed a primordial paradise. Jake merely grinned, producing his antiquated paper and pen set, prompting smirks from various students. Flinch seemingly the notion of eradicating botanical life to immortalize datum was deemed either savage or groundbreaking, depending on one's viewpoint. Today, the professor elaborated, we will delve into the definitive hierarchy of cosmic apex predators. We shall scrutinize entities so terrifying, so flawlessly engineered for annihilation, that entire stellar constellations have been isolated purely for containment. The crystalline structures throbbed intensely, seemingly acknowledging the profound scholarly implications of the looming catastrophic lectures. By session's end, you'll grasp why certain species have rightfully ascended to apex predator status, while others, his eyes flickered back to Jake, remain securely confined to the lower echelons where they are destined to be. Jake's smile subtly broadened. He clicked his pen once, twice, thrice, a sound simultaneously innocuous and foreboding within the grandiose, self-important hall. Ignited his holographic display with a grand flourish of all four arms, and the spectacle truly commenced. The initial hologram materialized with the theatrical flair of one who had meticulously rehearsed this unveiling countless times. The entity that emerged was akin to a miniature starship, resembling a fearsome dragon crossed with an insatiable gym enthusiast. "Gaze upon it," Professor Korak proclaimed, his voice resonating with an exaggerated reverence. The Vorth, the death serpent of Proxima Nightmare itself. Ethereal horror pulsated above, scales shimmering with unbearable hues, each the size of a platter. Jaws unhinged, revealing teeth like mining drills. A nightmare from Proxima's methane storms. This apex predator averages 200 meters, boasts plasma-proof hide, and its neurotoxin instantly fells even a gorillian battle rhino. Gorax mused. Distant thunder rumbled softly. Several students edged forward. Zara's face shone with fascination, or maybe burgeoning sickness. "The death serpent," the professor proclaimed, embracing the topic like a seasoned interstellar dealer, embodies evolutionary supremacy. Lacking predators, needing no societal norms, its DNA has remained unaltered for over 50 million years. Perfection, my astute pupils, demands no enhancement. Jake scribbled in his notebook, the pen scratching audibly in the hushed reverence. Silence fell as Professor Korfak indicated, the dreaded serpent morphing into a nightmarish mantis, seemingly conceived by a cabal of horror filmmakers with endless resources and deep-seated trauma. "The Kepler 442b crystal mantis," he proclaimed, towering at 12 feet, equipped with limbs that could cleave starships, and compound eyes tracking 17 targets in unison. Bleep's multifaceted eyes mirrored the hologram, a clear sign of admiration. "My home." Hive guardians, while resembling their world counterparts, are noticeably smaller. "Indeed," the professor remarked with a touch of condescension. Impressive hive guardians, undoubtedly, yet they lack the crystal mantis's unparalleled phasing ability through solid objects. Nevertheless, a worthy entry in our rankings. The crystal mantis vanished, replaced by a creature that visibly startled several students. A being of pure shadow, armed with countless teeth and an undeniable aura of hostility, materialized. "The shadow stalkers of the void," Professor Korak intoned, even his inflated tone unable to mask a flicker of apprehension. A subtle quaver laced his tone. "These are arguably the most terrifying predators in explored space. Existing somewhat beyond our dimensional reality, they stalk the void in utter silence and can cripple entire space stations simply by their presence." The holographic image pulsed erratically, never fully solidifying as Jake studied it, head cocked slightly, like contemplating an exceptionally intriguing enigma. "These entities," the professor amplified, "embody the very apex of predatory advancement. They're apex predators, shaped by eons of evolution into flawless instruments of destruction." A cascade of horrors ensued. The corrosive worms of Sulfur Prime, each capable of eroding a small moon given sufficient time and purpose. The psychic parasites of the Dream Nebula, which could siphon the vital energy from a starship crew without materializing. And the temporal arachnids of Chronos Station, stalking their victims by warping time. Every revelation elicited appropriate gasps and exclamations from the captivated students. Raised viscosity initiating suit alarm, Zara gleamed blindingly, posing navigation risks. "These," Professor Korfak gestured expansively, "are apex predators, evolution's finest, honed over millennia into instruments of obliteration and survival." He paused, surveying his captivated audience with satisfaction. "Now contrast this, if you would, with the alleged apex predators of sheltered garden planets, beings untouched by genuine evolutionary demands, never compelled to evolve or die. They persist in a realm of complacent ordinariness, unburdened by the brutal trials of natural selection. His four eyes locked onto Jake once more, his voice adopting that distinct cadence academics employ before unleashing a point they believe to be devastatingly insightful. I presume this offers some much-needed context on the comparative, dare I say, advancement level of different worlds and their respective populations. Jake glanced up from pen hovering. A charming smile played on his face, masking a chilling intellect. "Fascinating, Professor," he stated, his voice laced with genuine curiosity. "A question, if I may." The ensuing silence was pregnant with anticipation, as if waiting for a pivotal moment to shatter. Professor Korfak paused, his holographic display flickering, as if mirroring the tension. "Please proceed," the professor responded cautiously, implying that he was bestowing a considerable honor upon Jake merely by recognizing him. "Though I must caution you, this delves into advanced xenobiology, not introductory planetary science." Jake's smile remained steadfast. "Oh, I'm confident I can manage. I was simply curious, where would terrestrial tigers place within this ranking?" The query lingered, akin to a poorly calibrated gravitational force. Several students shifted their gaze towards Jake, their faces displaying a spectrum of emotions, from bewilderment to compassion. Bleep's multifaceted eyes somehow succeeded in communicating the ubiquitous sentiment, secondhand embarrassment. Professor Korfak sequentially blinked all four eyes, a Zentoran gesture denoting deep contemplation or utter incredulity. "I must beg your pardon," Jake offered helpfully. "Tigers, you know? Large felines, orange with black stripes. I'm simply intrigued as to their placement within your classification." The professor's laughter resembled a tree falling in a profoundly affected forest. "My dear human, Earth is designated a class guard world. Agreeable climate, bountiful vegetation. Subtle seasonal fluctuations. The Galactic Survey explicitly highlighted a distinct lack of major predatory life forms." "Huh," Jake remarked, jotting down another observation. "Intriguing, considering a tiger typically boasts around 600 plowmeres of raw muscle armed with formidable 4-inch canines and retractable claws reaching similar lengths. They're capable of horizontal leaps up to 30 feet and vertical ascents of approximately 12 feet. Plus, they're masters of nocturnal ambush predation." The faint scratching of Jake's pen resonated, becoming almost deafening within the amphitheater's silence as Professor Korfak's forearms began to make small, hesitant gestures as if he was uncertain. Conducting an orchestra, but the music vanished. "Surely an exaggeration," the professor retorted, confidence wavering. "Garden worlds inherently lack formidable apex predators." "Formidable is relative," Jake quipped, leafing through notes. "Tigers bite with 1,000 psi, crushing bones. They swim superbly, climb with ease, and possess night vision. Quite significant, no? 10x sharper than human eyesight. Zara's vibrant glow had completely faded, akin to outright collapse in crystalline culture. Morse's containment suit emitted frantic alerts, signaling a critical stress surge. Professor Korak inquired cautiously, "And these tigers, they share a world with humans?" "Absolutely. Initially, yes," Jake replied jovially. "However, presently their numbers are significantly depleted, largely due to extensive hunting. Originally, the population was substantial, but familiar factors such as urban expansion and agricultural advancements have taken their toll. Currently, the estimated wild population stands at approximately 4,000. The professor abruptly settled into his levitating chair, which wobbled subtly under the unanticipated shift in weight. "Hunted them, regrettably, an unavoidable measure, as they posed a threat to human lives." Jake nonchalantly shrugged as if this situation was the most logical outcome. "To be fair, we likely infringed upon their territory initially. Sadly, humans rarely demonstrate proficiency in coexisting harmoniously with sizable creatures. Predator's Gorax's drone now throbbed with palpable unease, a geological anxiety made audible. His bleeps clicked furiously, a rapid-fire sequence of what was likely both fervent prayers and colorful profanity, judging by the tempo. But surely, the professor ventured, clutching at straws that were likely deemed hazardous on several worlds. These tigers epitomize predation on your planet, the most formidable being your Eden has spawned. Jake seemed genuinely astonished. Tigers? Oh, goodness, no, they're hardly the most perilous entity on this planet. Sure, they're captivating, but we harbor significantly more terrifying phenomena. Realistically, tigers represent a mid-tier threat. Far worse dangers exist, dwarfing tigers to mere kittens. Professor Korak emitted a sound resembling a cough crossed with a tiny moon's existential lament. Mid-tier, precisely, Jake exclaimed, embracing the topic like a solar flare embracing electromagnetism. To be clear, tigers pose a significant threat, yet they're mammals, warm-blooded creatures with foreseeable actions. Terrestrial predator patterns pale in comparison. For truly formidable Earth predators, one must acknowledge sharks. The very word sharks resonates like a profanity amidst sacred discourse. Sharks, Bleep's clicks intensified, a palpable anxiety in his tone. These are aquatic predators, apex hunters, Jake affirmed. Consider great whites, reaching lengths of 20 feet, weighing 3,000 pounds, armed with perpetually renewing teeth, capable of a 4,000 psi bite, and possessing the uncanny ability to detect bioelectrical fields and scent. Blood miles distant, Zara mustered a frail glimmer. Yet surely these leviathans are safely harbored within your aquatic realms. Jake's smile acquired an edge, prompting students to instinctively shift their seats. Largely, perhaps, but humankind frolics in those seas. Entire industries thrive on oceanic leisure. Surfing, diving, swimming. Children in some locales master swimming before proper walking. The ensuing quietude was a pregnant pause, often heralds profound insight or total mental collapse. You willingly venture into the domain of these apex predators. Gorax's deep resonance now triggered the amphitheater's tremor detectors. Constantly, Jake quipped. Although admittedly, shark incidents are statistically insignificant, you're conceivably at greater risk from bovine encounters. Professor Korfak showed a flicker of intrigue. So these cows are essentially your ultimate predators? What? No, cows are livestock. We consume them. I simply implied they cause more annual fatalities due to the increased likelihood of bovine-related incidents, agricultural accidents, stampedes, the usual. The professor's arms flailed in bewilderment, resembling a surrender to an invisible adversary. You consume your predators? We consume everything, Jake stated with the nonchalant satisfaction of someone sharing a pastime. Cows, pigs, chickens, fish, sharks, deer, elk, moose, virtually anything. Anything mobile, really, and a multitude of stationary objects. We're ambitious omnivores. Morse's containment suit alarms now formed a persistent, harmonious backdrop to Gorax's escalating, restless humming. But the genuinely lethal fauna, Morse managed to croak via suit comms. Surely this world harbors apex predators even humanity dreads. Oh, we've got those aplenty, Jake responded, casually thumbing through his notebook. Saltwater crocs, for example. They can max out at 23 feet. Possesses the most formidable bite force on the planet, clocking in at a staggering 3,700 pounds per square inch, essentially living dinosaurs that shrugged off extinction as a mere suggestion. And these crocs, Professor Korfak noted casually, frequently share habitats with humans, particularly in Australia, where locals seemed surprisingly unfazed despite warning signs, exhibiting a unique coexistence before devolving into mechanical sobbing. What about petite predators? It can't be so bad? Jake's eyes blazed with the fervor of a devotee asked about their most cherished passion. Oh man, you want to delve into the realm of the diminutive yet devastating? We're talking army ants marching in legions of 20 million, capable of reducing a substantial creature to a skeleton in mere hours. And then there are bullet ants, wielding stings so excruciating, indigenous tribes employ them in warrior rites of passage, the pain likened to a gunshot. Surely these terrors are confined to far-flung corners of the earth, Zara murmured, her crystalline form subtly shifting. Not exactly, Jake countered. Army ants dominate tropical landscapes, but concerning formidable, diminutive terrors, box jellyfish lurk, virtually undetectable, capable of fatally striking an adult within minutes. Their tentacles extend up to 10 feet, unleashing venom that assaults the heart, nervous system, and dermal cells concurrently. The holographic system abruptly initiated a reboot, projecting spectral azure shadows onto the students' increasingly ashen faces. However, Professor Korax interjected, seeking composure. Marine predators are, thankfully, confined to aquatic domains. The persistent peril of his outlook, undoubtedly, yet humans constantly venture into the seas. We surf, dive and swim for recreation. Some dedicate their entire existence to the ocean's embrace, and it's far more than just box jellyfish lurking below. We face blue-ringed octopuses, diminutive in stature yet possessing venom potent enough to end 26 lives. Their beauty is undeniable, vibrant azure rings pulsating with agitation. But remember, if you're close enough to witness this spectacle, doom is likely already upon you. Gorax, notably, ceased his humming altogether, a silence that underscored the moment. Species suggested profound contemplation or total system failure, plus cone snails. Jake went on seemingly unaware of the psychological damage he caused, like attractive shells you'd find on a shore, yet shoot harpoon-like teeth packed with neurotoxins. Most species lack antivenom. Humans choked out desperately. Avoid these creatures? Yes. Jake seemed genuinely confused. Avoid them? Not actually, we're careful, but people gather shells constantly. Snorkeling and scuba diving are thriving tourist sectors. My sister explored the depths off Australia's coast last year, capturing breathtaking images of blue-ringed octopuses. The amphitheater's environmental controls activated with a gentle whoosh, seemingly detecting heightened stress levels amongst us. Your sister, Professor Korfak inquired slowly, deliberately, actively pursued these deadly organisms for photographs? Indeed, they're stunning and the photos are phenomenal. Although she did note the dive master appeared somewhat apprehensive about her proximity, Bleep managed one final frantic click. Assuredly, there must be havens in your realm, pockets where humans dwell untouched by these lurking dangers. Jake pondered this deeply. Well, urban centers are largely secure, yet we face infrequent intrusions, cougars straying into suburbs, and the undeniable presence of bears, black, brown, even polar, varying by locale. Polar bears are arguably the deadliest, uniquely viewing humans as viable prey. The concluding remarks resonated throughout the amphitheater, a somber knell for civilization. The sanity of everyone present was fraying. Professor Korax's forearms flailed in wild, unpredictable motions, resembling either a conductor leading an orchestra of pandemonium or a desperate attempt to reboot his very consciousness. This defies all reason. The Galactic Survey would have designated your world a lethal environment if these assertions held any truth. Jake appeared genuinely perplexed by this declaration. Lethal environment? Really? Earth is generally considered quite temperate by most galactic benchmarks. I mean, it's not as if we're constantly battling volcanic eruptions or enduring perpetual radiation storms. Temperate, Professor Corax echoed, the word laced with disbelief. Tasting venom, huh? Totally get it. The deadliest stuff vanished ages ago. Jake whipped out his phone, triggering a collective flinch. It was like he'd brandished a weapon, a reasonable reaction, considering their lessons. What is that thing? Zara breathed. This? Just my phone. Portable computer, communicator, camera, GPS, internet. Pretty much standard issue. Jake effortlessly navigated his apps, captivating the alien students with a blend of awe and terror. The concept of humans wielding personal computers as casually as life-sustaining equipment was profoundly disturbing. Seeking evidence of Earth's apex predators? Jake inquired, launching a video app. My young cousin is obsessed with these nature documentaries. The comment, "My little nephew adores this material," appeared to shatter a core belief in many students' perceptions. Jake located his desired video and displayed it on the amphitheater's primary screen. The initial scene depicted a lion pride overpowering a Cape buffalo, the immense herbivore desperately battling against numerous predators exhibiting flawless teamwork. Lions, Jake announced brightly, as if presenting holiday snapshots instead of documenting a graphic predator-prey dynamic. African lions commonly hunt in collaborative units known as prides. The females typically handle most of the hunting, males safeguard territory. A lone lioness can conquer prey double her stature, yet they typically collaborate for heightened efficiency. The footage depicted the buffalo eventually collapsing as the lions commenced feeding, even while their quarry was technically clinging to life. Moore's containment suit initiated what resembled somber requiem music, seemingly his species' ingrained reaction to confronting utter existential dread. This passes as entertainment for your young, Bleep managed to stammer. Educational entertainment, Jake refined. Kids are fascinated by learning about nature. Majestic creatures, yet we soften the harsher realities for kids. Next up, a spectacular orca hunt. Witness a colossal black and white predator erupt from the ocean, seizing a seal. These apex dolphins, reaching 32 feet and 6 tons, boast immense intelligence and hunt strategically. Pods employ tools and exhibit unique cultural behaviors across populations. These creatures, Professor Korfak murmured, are akin to dolphins, those serene, brilliant marine mammals documented in xenobiology texts. Same lineage, yes. However, orcas reign as apex predators, even preying on great white sharks. They skillfully flip them, inducing tonic immobility before consuming their livers. Remarkably efficient. The succeeding video vividly portrayed this very scene. A colossal orca nonchalantly eliminating what the class now recognized as one of Earth's most formidable predators. Feared predators, those dolphins of yours, Gorax resonated, frequencies thrumming through the deck. They prey on your sharks, undeniably. Dolphins can be surprisingly ruthless, documented to kill for amusement, wage full-blown pod wars, and uniquely like humans, indulge in recreational drug use. A chorus echoed, recreational drug use? Indeed, Jake affirmed, they carefully share pufferfish, seeking the intoxicating effects of the toxins. Scientists have captured footage of entire dolphin pods engaging in elaborate intoxication rituals. Jake then switched the display to another video showcasing the dolphins. Delicately guiding a pufferfish between them, their conduct irrevocably transformed by the insidious chemicals permeating the air. The auditorium echoed with the dissonant chorus of diverse species undergoing an unmistakable communal mental fracture. Zara's corporeal form oscillated violently between tangible and ethereal, resembling a frantic strobe. Gorax's gentle hum morphed into a deep, mournful lament that vibrated through the building's very core. "Surely," Professor Korak pleaded desperately, "your human habitats possess safeguards against these entities. Undoubtedly, your species has advanced tech to deter them." Jake, genuinely astonished, questioned, "Deter them? Why?" "We showcase most in zoos, allowing close encounters. Kids learn about lions, tigers, and bears. It's enriching." The term zoos needed clarification, and when understood, humans intentionally capturing and exhibiting dangerous predators, Bleep's clicks escalated into a data stream-like frenzy about these zoos. "These are highly secured facilities," Professor Korak inquired. "Quite secure, wouldn't you agree?" "Yes, though occasional animal escapes occur. Remember the tiger incident in San Francisco? Numerous snake mishaps, too. Oh, and the Ohio exotic animal release disaster." Jake continued, swiping through videos illustrating the casual interactions between humans and creatures. The aliens were starting to identify as lethal tools. A man fearlessly swimming amongst great white sharks, a woman calmly hand-feeding immense polar bears, children gently petting. What Jake offhandedly dismissed as slightly venomous snakes, this recovered footage Zara somehow salvaged, reveals humans intentionally engaging with these apex predators. "Oh yeah, constantly." Steve Irwin literally built an entire career around it. The crocodile hunter. He'd famously wrestle crocodiles and handle highly venomous snakes for TV. Kids adored him. "Used to," Mort grumbled forebodingly. "Yeah, tragically he passed away when a stingray barb impaled his heart. A bizarre, unfortunate accident, really. Stingrays generally aren't typically aggressive toward people." Jake then paused, reflecting deeply. "It just dawned on me, we should definitely cover stingrays. Generally quite placid, they pack venomous barbs for self-preservation. People occasionally tread on them in shallow areas, unfortunately." Professor Korax's inquiry dissolved into a jumble of disjointed sounds. Beaches remain massive tourist magnets, drawing crowds for swimming, surfing, snorkeling, and fishing. Oceans are prime relaxation spots for countless people. Jake then queued up a new clip featuring a freediver surrounded by a captivating school of hammerhead sharks. Honestly, hammerheads are remarkably fascinating creatures. Their unique head structure is incredible. Shape grants them superior sensory abilities, enabling them to perceive the electrical fields of living beings. He's swimming amidst them, sans any defensive gear, utterly unprotected. Bleep's clicks escalated, adopting a palpably frantic tone. Sure, he's got a wetsuit for thermal comfort, but no cage or shield, quite typical for seasoned divers. The video progressed, revealing the humans serenely navigating creatures capable of lethal force, driven seemingly by sheer personal pleasure. "Your species," Professor Korfak, his voice meticulously navigating a complex logical exercise, remarked that some actively pursue perilous predators for thrills. Extreme sports are undeniably trendy. Shark diving, scaling treacherous peaks, even swimming with untamed dolphins. An entire tourism sector thrives on it. Jake then showcased a clip of a man feeding colossal crocodiles from a tiny boat. Crocodile tours are booming in Australia and Florida. People willingly pay for intimate encounters with wild crocs, he observed. Gorax responded with a low rumble. Subtle tremors unearth apex predators. Lucrative wildlife tourism thrives as a multi-billion-dollar venture. The culminating video, deeply unsettling, featured a child, around 10, matter-of-factly showcasing a venomous snake science project, expertly manipulating preserved specimens while detailing fatal species-specific methods. "Early education," Jake remarked, seemingly unconcerned about the implications. The profound psychological trauma he was inflicting was immense. Kids learned to spot perilous creatures as core survival skills. By adolescence, most people recognize and evade numerous deadly species. The ensuing hush was absolute, akin to the heat death of the universe when all energy dissipates and entropy peaks. Several dozen, Professor Korak breathed, his voice a mere whisper. Indeed essential, depending on your locale. Might stumble upon venomous black widows, elusive brown recluses, menacing rattlesnakes, vibrant coral snakes, stealthy mountain lions, formidable bears, lurking alligators, stinging fire ants, and swarming killer bees. And that's solely in North America. Other continents boast their own unique and exciting array of dangers. Jake, seemingly content with his spontaneous wildlife expose, pocketed his phone. All right, circling back to your initial query regarding the tiger's position in the galactic pecking order, I'd venture to say they certainly occupy a high echelon among land-based predators. However, they likely don't even crack the top 10 when considering Earth's most significant threats to human well-being. The amphitheater's climate control systems were now operational, laboriously grappling to resolve the massive oxygen deficit inflicted by a class of students seemingly oblivious to proper breathing. Professor Korfak slumped in his levitating chair, akin to a man shattered by the revelation that his entire understanding of the cosmos was not just inaccurate, but devastatingly, cataclysmically flawed. His forearms dangled powerlessly, punctuated by sporadic twitches, as though his neural network wrestled with data that flagrantly contravened bedrock principles of academic grandiosity. Not even among the elite 10, he murmured, the words escaping like a chilling confession unveiled at a war crimes tribunal. Tigers are undeniably magnificent, Jake offered, seemingly eager to assist. However, regarding creatures with a lethal track record against humans, mosquitoes demand consideration. They arguably reign supreme as the planet's deadliest animal, judged by annual human fatalities. The term mosquitoes reverberates through the amphitheater, resonating like a grim prophecy. These minuscule insects, no larger than a fingernail, are apex predators in disguise, cunningly disseminating diseases such as malaria, dengue fever, yellow fever, and Zika. West Nile virus, millions perish annually from mosquito-borne diseases. The stark reality that Earth's deadliest entity is minuscule, dwarfed by fingernails, shattered some students' grasp on reality. Zara's crystalline form shimmered, now radiating palpable existential dread. Smaller than fingernails, millions dead? But they're not predators, just mobile disease transmitters. Female mosquitoes require blood to fuel egg production, leading them to bite any available mammal, bird, or reptile. However, the truly devastating element is the pathogens they transmit. Gorax's subsonic hum had morphed into a sound akin to tectonic plates engaged in a bitter divorce. Your planet teems with unseen creatures capable of causing widespread fatalities. While mosquitoes are visible, albeit small, the pathogens they carry are microscopic, including bacteria, viruses, and parasites. Earth boasts an incredibly diverse array of microscopic life with deadly potential. I'll devise uniquely lethal methods. Professor Korak emitted a sound akin to a whimper mixed with the death throes of a star-facing supernova. Microscopic entities aren't quite predators, but opportunistic parasites. Although some exhibit aggression, flesh-eating bacteria, for instance, like necrotizing fasciitis, which rapidly devours soft tissue. The environmental systems completely failed, seemingly deciding that if the amphitheater's occupants wished to hyperventilate themselves into oblivion, that was their concern, prerogative several inches per hour. Mort gargled within his suit, a biopanic unfolding in real-time biometric data. Yeah, nasty stuff. Luckily rare, most live without facing flesh-eating bacteria, unlike ubiquitous mosquitoes. Jake paused, then with breezy nonchalance. Oh, humans decimated several Earth species. Humanity's proficiency in driving apex predators to oblivion is remarkable. We excel at large-scale species eradication when focused. The subsequent silence possessed an almost palpable weight. Extinction, Professor Korfak breathed, barely audible. You decimated your apex predators. Saber-toothed cats, cave bears, dire wolves, those colossal short-faced bears reaching 12 feet and weighing a ton. Most megafauna succumbed to human expansion. We proved devastatingly efficient hunters when united. Chaotic, it resembled a faulty data system. Undoubtedly the most formidable terrestrial predators humans confronted, barring rare dinosaur intrusions. A completely separate geological epoch. Dinosaurs? Voices chorused, the word echoing ominously. We thankfully never directly faced dinosaurs. Their extinction preceded human evolution by roughly 65 million years. Though admittedly, birds technically descended from dinosaurs, and some, like cassowaries, pose a significant threat, virtually living velociraptors. Towering at 6 feet, clocking 30 miles per hour, armed with 5-inch claws ready to eviscerate, Professor Korfak's levitating chair surrendered to gravity, a mere footnote in a world of coexisting humans, velociraptors, and these cassowaries. Humans meet them in Australia, he stated grimly. They're naturally reserved, but fiercely protective if provoked. Are stark indicators. Australians generally exhibit a relaxed attitude towards perilous wildlife, humorously stating, everything in Australia is actively plotting your demise. It's predominantly a jest, yet harbors a kernel of reality. Zara's crystalline form pulsed intensely, verging on the redshift threshold of the visible light spectrum. Indeed, Australia boasts a high concentration of formidable creatures, including saltwater crocodiles, formidable great white sharks, insidious box jellyfish, venomous blue-ringed octopi, lethal funnel web spiders, deadly taipans, and vipers of death, adders, cone snails, stonefish, and a plethora of intensely venomous snake species. And that's merely scratching the surface. Jake retrieved his notebook, swiftly perusing several pages. Actually, allow me to see if I can recall the entire inventory my cousin dispatched upon relocating to Brisbane. She was cautioned to be vigilant of roughly 47 distinct species in her proximate vicinity. 47 species, Professor Korfak uttered, his voice adopting the somber timbre of one reciting their own eulogy. In her immediate area, yes, but the majority aren't predisposed to aggression towards. Unprovoked, humans fare well. Advanced medicine boasts effective antivenoms and swift emergency protocols. Australia remarkably triumphs in dangerous animal encounters, showcasing impressive survival rates. This impressive survival rate shattered some students' composure. Gorak ceased humming, signaling either profound enlightenment or total system failure. Moore's containment suit emitted a mournful dirge, while B-flat minor went utterly mute, his multifaceted eyes unmoving. Illuminating the amphitheater with an eerie glow, the emergency lights mirrored Professor Korfak's profound contemplation of life's inherent absurdity. He deliberately arose from his grounded chair, the levitation concept seemingly abandoned, and approached the holographic display controls with the measured grace of a sacred rite. Computer, he declared, his voice heavy with utter resignation. Revise the Galactic Predator hierarchy database. The display sputtered to life, revealing the preceding data. Standings featuring the Vor and Death Serpent as apex predators, pursued by the crystalline mantis, the shadow stalkers, and the galaxy's other most formidable beings. Redesignate Sol 3, codename Earth, from Garden World to X-Class Death World. Enhance threat level to absolute maximum. He threw his hands up, the display recalibrated, showcasing Earth's diverse predators surging through the hierarchy like a brutal corporate raid of the food web. Tigers secured position 15, narrowly trailing polar bears and surpassing saltwater crocodiles and great white sharks. Crowned the 8th rank, army ants surged into the top 5, yet dominating the coveted #1 position was a stark revelation that hushed the entire amphitheater. Homo sapiens, enduring predator, tool-wielding strategist, collaborative hunter, accountable for extensive ecosystem transformations and species eradication occurrences, galactic threat level. Humans, Professor Korfak announced, gazing intently at the screen, are recognized as the ultimate apex predator of a death world. Jake, lifting his head from his notes, expressed authentic surprise. Seriously? That's unexpected. Harsh? We're hardly a threat. The words lingered, defying irony itself. Professor Korfak, all 4 eyes focused intently, seemed to truly see Jake. Mr. Morrison, your next class? Jake consulted his schedule, a humble printout attracting glances as if it held devastating power. Interstellar conflict resolution. Intriguing, the professor remarked. We delve into peaceful species integration through case studies. He rose, collecting his belongings. Antiquated paper notebooks and his frighteningly outdated personal computer. Utterly unaware he had just revolutionized the galaxy's comprehension of predator-prey dynamics. One last detail, Jake remarked, hesitating at the doorway. I neglected to mention my roommate back on Earth is a German shepherd, essentially a domesticated wolf. We've selectively bred them from top-tier predators into loyal companions and diligent workers. Picture this, 150-pound wolf descendants cohabitating in human dwellings, playfully interacting with human children. He beamed with enthusiasm. See you all next week for the expanded presentation. On symbiotic relationships, the portal sealed shut, a gentle hiss, the only sound as it left the amphitheater in an eerie hush reminiscent of either groundbreaking enlightenment or total cognitive collapse. Professor Korfak surveyed his class, each student seemingly grappling with an individual existential maelstrom, then glanced back at the revised projection showcasing Earth's organisms' apex status in the galactic food chain. Class adjourned, he announced, unusually, met with absolute compliance, a first in his storied academic tenure. Students poured out in bewildered silence. The amphitheater's luminous crystal formations persisted in their soft blue pulsations, seemingly struggling to determine if the preceding discussion held any academic merit. The crystals, it appeared, were grappling with that question just as much as everyone else.